All right, everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Live. I know we're running just a wee bit behind. That is because OBS did not want to cooperate. So it is what it is. And I'm just making sure the stream is up and running. Of course, you guys know, get in the chat. Let me know you can hear me. Get in your super chats, because at the end of the show, we will cover your chats, super chats, all that good stuff. It is a great way to support the channel. And, of course, at the very least, please just like this video, share it with everyone you know out there. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you toggle that notification bell, so every time we put up a live, you get notified. Now, I do sound better from last week. Last week, I was getting comments all week that I sounded absolutely horrible. And I felt horrible. In fact, the teaching all day, then doing the live, and then going back and teaching on Sunday really did me in. I was hating life. My voice was shot, but powered through it. And it's easy when you love what you're doing. All right, so let's get into it. Hopefully everything runs smoothly. Again, guys, get in your super chats. Help support this channel. Keep it free. All right, of course, you guys know we are going to start with the merch store. Always got to do the merch store, guys. Get your merch. Get in there. Purchase your stuff. It's down in the description below, along with a bunch of other stuff. We had a lot of stuff going on this week, including, obviously, Wednesday, we had the massive Judiciary Committee meeting, which I did put up a video. That video was a nightmare to upload, and I could not figure out why it wouldn't upload. It took so long to get it done. I actually had to cancel it and reboot it a couple of times. It was a massive file. I think in total it was 116 gig, and then it uploaded overnight, and it had a bunch of views. And when I was looking at it this morning, and I was looking at the duration according to the thumbnail, it was over 8 hours. I was like, that makes no sense. I made a little over a 3-hour video. So I had to go back in. As you guys may know, it's already been uploaded, so I can't really make a lot of changes to it. And the back end of YouTube, when it comes to editing videos, is very lacking. It's archaic. I did end up finding a snippet of a video, like an artifact all the way at the end. So I had to basically edit it within YouTube. So I was able to get rid of the 8 hours and get it down to where it needs to be, about 3 hours, 24, I think it was like a little over 3 hours, like 3 hours, 11 minutes or some weird freaking number. I don't know. Anyways, it's where it needs to be. So it's got good retention. I know it's long. I'm sorry, but there's so much stuff you guys need to know. And I mean, the overall entirety of that hearing was like 8 hours and 18 minutes or whatever. Anyways, if you haven't watched the whole thing, not my video, but the whole hearing, by all means, in the description for that video I did last night to today, is a link to CTN. And of course, we're going to go over some of the people who did not make the cut in my video, not because I didn't want to put them in, but I was really trying to constrain how long it was going to be, because who wants to sit there for 4 hours watching it? Most people don't, but you can see, like, I have a ton of notes. There's 4 pages of notes with timestamps of people that made really good points, and other parts where every town said, like, quiet parts out loud, all that good stuff. All right, I know you're just staring at the screen with t-shirts. Let's jump into something I wanted to cover real quick. This is coming from the Post-Millennial. The Old Dominion shooter, Mohammed Jolly, shouted Allah Akbar as he opened fire, according to the FBI. Now, it turns out this little turd muffin will only serve 7 years in jail, was a known supporter of ISIS, and he was released during the last administration and was allowed to roam free. He should have been removed from the country. So the dead Old Dominion shooter, Mohammed, whatever his name is, shouted Allah Akbar right before he opened fire on students. He was previously convicted and sentenced for a crime of attempting to give ISIS material support. The FBI confirmed that Jello, whatever his name is, shouted the phrase right before firing the gun, which translates to God. Me saying it too many times, YouTube has nuts. So we'll just say Aloha Snack Bar. And he was known to have shouted Islamic extremists during terror attacks, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you hear it during extreme attacks, the extremists, but that for them is like when we say, oh my God. You hear it all the time. FBI authorities also called on the shooting an act of terrorism. Jala, after fatally shooting the instructor in the classroom where the attack was carried out, was fatally stabbed by a student in the ROTC program at the school. That's right. They took him out with, remember, ODU is a gun-free zone. It's in Virginia. So this knucklehead comes in, opens fire. The ROTC students, because the only person that was killed was the instructor, God rest his soul. And the ROTCs, they took care of it themselves. They stomped, pummeled, beat, and ultimately stabbed him to death, sending him on his way to meet his 72 virgin goats. FBI Special Agent in charge, Dominic Evans, on how the gunman in the shooting ODU died. There were students in the room, and they subdued him and rendered him no longer alive. That's the best line. They just rendered him alive. They unalived him. Again, the big question is, how was he able to stay in our country? He should have been removed. So, there's that. I want to know what you guys think. Should people like this either go away forever, those that offer material support to terrorist organizations, whether it's ISIS, whether it's Hamas, or anyone, hey, even what the hell's the name of that new terrorist group out there? They just made them terrorists. Antifa. There you go. Material support Antifa. Should these people be removed? Now, if you're a natural born American citizen, I know you can't be removed, but you can go away to a dark hole for a very long time. If you are a naturalized citizen, we can revoke your citizenship and then we can send you to the darkest corners of Earth. Honestly, I think we should do that, but that's me. If you don't want to be here, we can help facilitate that. Also, in case you guys didn't know, get rid of these ads. Ayman Mohammed Ghazali attacked a Michigan synagogue after his Hezbollah brother was killed in Lebanon. So, Israel struck Lebanon, and it's their problem. Anyways, the old boy's brother was killed, so he attacked, same day, he attacked the synagogue. He drove his vehicle into it. He's a Lebanese immigrant, and now he's dead after plowing his vehicle into a synagogue in West Bloomfield Township, Michigan on Thursday. His two brothers were recently killed in an Israeli attack in Lebanon and were also members of a terrorist group, Hezbollah. So, yeah, they deserve to die. His brothers, Qasim and Baram, were probably killed in an Israeli strike. Yeah, we know that. Well, he lashed out and he attacked the synagogue, and, well, they unalived him. That's a lovely shot right up the nose. So, there you go. There's another would-be terrorist attack. And, of course, in case you guys didn't know, this is also from the Post-Millennial. It was just what I could grab on the fly. Bomb threats at Virginia colleges like UVA, George Mason, Bridgewater College, one day after the ODU shooting. There have been multiple bomb threats made Friday, so yesterday, at Virginia colleges a day after the shooting took place in Old Dominion University, which resulted in the death of the professor at school. And bomb threats did not appear to be credible, but were made against UVA, George Mason, and Bridgewater. These colleges made various statements on social media indicating they've been a target of bomb threats. Okay, so why are we going over all of this? Because, in case you haven't been paying attention to the news, we're kicking the shit out of Iran. Iran, I saw reports, Iran had put out a radio broadcast. It was intercepted. It made it through, but it was intercepted by our intelligence agencies. Again, take all this with a grain of salt, because, I saw it on the internet, so it must be true. God only knows. Anyways, they put out this call to rise up and attack us. Well, a big fear a lot of people have is in the last administration, our border was so porous. We don't know who came in. Now, we know some Terrys came in. They were caught and they were given a date and released and disappeared. So where are they now? God only knows. I'm just bringing this up because I want you guys to understand. You can't look at the world like it was a couple of weeks ago. Things have changed. We are actively not at war because we haven't declared war, but we are definitely kicking someone's rear end. Okay? And whether you agree with it or not, whether you understand all the political things that were going on behind the scenes, you understand that Iran for over 47 years were threatening to destroy and shut down the Straits of Hormuz, and finally we're just sick and tired of it. So I heard that during the negotiations, I guess Iran just came up and said, listen, we're not going to negotiate, and we have enough material, radioactive fissile material, to make 11 nuclear weapons. So the current administration says, well, congratulations, now you die. And we have been systematically just taking everybody out between us and Israel. Apparently Israel was going to attack them with or without us, which means we would have been attacked anyways, so we did a preemptive strike. But that's neither near nor there. My point is, with all that going on over there, you guys really need to keep your head on a swivel. Be prepared, because you have no idea when this is going to come flying in your face. So make sure, keep your head on a swivel, make sure you keep your powder dry, always carry a gun with you when possible, and pay attention to what's going on. Just a PSA, okay? I just want you guys to have that. All right, I also wanted to show you guys this. This is coming from Philly Crime Update. Philadelphia is suing Glock, and it claims their marketing contributes to the use of illegal gun switches. You know what they're arguing is, if you look at the back, right there, it says Glock. So they're equating it to Glock is making the switches and advertising it. That's why the Glock logo is on the back of the switch, even though they have nothing to do with the switch. So, according to the lawsuit, the small attachments can convert a semi-automatic Glock pistol into a fully automatic weapon, allowing them to fire rapidly like a machine gun. City officials say these devices have been used in multiple shootings across Philadelphia, increasing the number of victims in mass shooting incidents. Philadelphia Public Safety Director Adam Geer said that the city believes the Glock manufacturing and social media content glamorize the use of these modifications. I assure you, Glock is not touting the Glock switch. In fact, they're going out of their way to combat that. They're trying to comply with California, Illinois, Connecticut, and all these other dumb states suing the shit out of them. That's why Gen 3, 4, and 5s are gone. You get the V series, which has a metal tab in the back. Now, the Gen 5s, or like your Glock 19Xs, things like that, they had a tab, but it was all plastic, which, you could just nibble it away with like nail clippers and common tools. But you're modifying the gun, which is illegal, and then, as in, like, you're modifying it to put a switch on it. That's illegal. Having a switch is illegal. Putting the switch on the gun's illegal, blah, blah, blah. So when they made the V series and the Gen 6, that area, not only is it a piece of plastic, but it's got a little metal tab in there. Well, I did a previous video where an SOT with some basic rudimentary tools, was able to shave that area down to get a switch on. And they were demonstrating that when there's a will, there's a way. And it's not me doing this. It's not you doing this. It's not the law-abiding gun owner. It's the little hood boogers out there doing this. And criminals be doing criminal stuff no matter what the law says. Just saying. So now we got Philadelphia, Pennsylvania losing their minds over Glock. We've got California, New York, Connecticut, so on and so forth. And we're about to get into the CTN video because I do want to showcase a few of the people that gave testimony and get into it. And of course, you know, it's kind of disheartening when you watch this because you know damn well all this testimony is falling on deaf ears. But with that being said, I do want to give you guys something a little lighthearted. So I want to present this dumbass, in case you guys didn't see it on my feed.
Replace the M16. In fact, the AR-15 is more powerful than the standard military issue M4 assault rifle that replaced the M16.
Yeah, he said that. You know what really pisses me off is he's wearing a veteran hat. So he has some, like, he's bona fide. Like, he knows what he's talking about. This is the most cockamamie thing I have ever heard, that an AR-15 is more powerful than an M4. More powerful than the M6. They're the same gun, sort of. AR-15s are semi-automatic only. Your M16, your M4s, HK416, all those are select fire. They have safe, semi-auto, and either full auto or burst. That's the difference. Same caliber, everything's the same. But this knucklehead coming out and saying that, I thought it was funny because they tout him as, like, you know, a gun expert. Kind of like what every town did with their dude. We'll get into this, but I hope you guys watched the video where I put it in there that he talks about how a Glock 18 and a Glock switch, you're able to shoot up to 1,200 rounds a minute. But a standard, normal, lawful Glock in the hands of a skilled shooter is only capable of shooting 30 rounds in a minute. That's what he said. That's one round every 2 seconds. And then he capitulated and said, okay, well, maybe you could do 60 in a minute. And I'm like, this guy, he has no idea what he's talking about. No idea whatsoever. But I want to know what you guys think. I know we kind of jumped all over the place, but I want to know what you guys think. If you guys watched the video. I'm going to jump now. And we're going to catch some video. I got to figure out where it is. Because I wanted to cover Ryan Fazio, Diesel from USCCA, and of course, Josh. I've got to find Josh. So, I pause this so I can scrub it. And then we will get into it. That's the interview with Youngblood, which was horrible. So, I know I'm just scrubbing. There's Holly. She's the president of CCDL. She did an okay job. I would have liked to see more. Here's some. And I sat here and I watched all of this, guys. 8 hours plus. Just to grab the information I did for you. It was brutal. It hurt so bad. There was an anti-gun kid. We covered him. We covered him. They all made the cut. He didn't. Some of these people you might recognize if you go to CCDL meetings. All right, I'm going to blow this up real quick. Because I know right after him was Josh. Oh, there's Josh. So let's back up.
But at least the greater public, the people that watch on CTN, the people that actually live in certain dangerous areas of our state can say, you know,
environment of rising would be able to,
because both these bills
and FFL in Connecticut
So, do you think I'd be
itself hold out for theory for from a whole? I would have to.
I was just curious. Here, I have concern.
Thank you. Further question or comment from?
Thank you for your time and.
All right, next
I'm
up
sorry?
is Josh Saraphino,
Oh,
owner of Lock and Lock.
okay, Joshua Saraphino. I'm sorry. Yeah, I accidentally. You are correct. Thank you.
Let's hear what Josh has to say.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, chairs and members of the judiciary. My name is Joshua Saraphino. I own Lock and Load Firearms in Southington. I'm a federally licensed firearms dealer and a certified firearms instructor. Through my business, I work with hundreds of thousands of students, residents, every year who are going through the legal process to obtain their pistol permits and learn how to operate firearms safely. Today I'm here in opposition of HB5043 and 5436 because both these bills create significant unintended consequences for law-abiding gun owners, firearm retailers, and small businesses like mine that are trying to operate within the law. Starting with 5043, this bill proposes banning manufacture and sale of so-called convertible pistols. In reality, the language of the bill targets one of the most commonly widely owned handgun designs in the United States.
Okay, so Josh right there said it's a commonly, widely owned gun in the United States. Correct. It's a Glock. I mean, come on. Everybody has Glocks. Civilians, Leos, and military. And I do remember under a SCOTUS ruling of Bruin, you can't ban guns in common use. Yet Connecticut is getting ready to shove this bad boy through.
Glocks. These are the same firearms that are used by law-abiding citizens every day for self-defense, instructors for training, and law enforcement agencies across the country, including the Connecticut State Police. It's also important to point out that the devices used to illegally convert these semi-automatic pistols into machine guns are already illegal under federal law and under existing Connecticut law. This bill doesn't close a loophole. Instead, it attempts to ban a commonly owned firearm that has been in production since 1982 based on a theoretical possibility that somebody could illegally modify them. This doesn't target criminals, it targets law-abiding gun owners. HB5436 raises a different concern, but just as problematic. Connecticut would redefine what are major firearm components, redefine what calls major firearm components such as barrel, slides, and cylinders. Under federal law, the only part of the firearm that is serialized is the frame or the receiver, and that is defined by the ATF. Barrels and slides are not serialized and are commonly replaced for maintenance or repairs. Just like any mechanical device, require replacement parts over time. If these parts were suddenly treated as firearms under Connecticut law, routine things like replacing a worn barrel, installing a new slide, or performing basic gunsmithing could legally be unclear for both the owners and the licensed dealers. Connecticut already has some of the most complex firearm laws in the country. Adding new definitions to this not only conflict with federal laws, but makes it just confusing for the general public to understand. The people I work with every day go through background checks, fingerprinting, training, and a lengthy pistol permit process to exercise a constitutional right. They are not the people committing violent crimes in our state. For these reasons, I urge the committee to oppose both of those bills. And on one side note, just on previous testimony, they've stated that 1,200 rounds per minute is what they claim a Glock switch can do. That statistic is from Every Town for Gun Safety, which is, they're referencing their own statistic. An M240 Bravo, which is a belt-fed machine gun that the U.S. military uses, fires 650 rounds per minute. So I find that a little implausible. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was funny. That was funny. Every town quoted their own stats, which could be wrong, but let's see if Josh gets any questions.
Representative Veach.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nice to see you, Josh. Thanks for coming out today. I've got a quick question for you, if I may. You're a small business owner, one of my constituents. What does this do to somebody like you? I mean, this type of a, law, should it pass?
Yeah, so if you guys and the legislative body ends up basically banning Glocks here, significantly hurts my business, just like HB5667 did when we banned CT others. That was about 25% of my business, and that hurt financially, and it hurts for my family because that's how I make my money, my income. I know, I believe it was Rep. Dubitsky earlier asked somebody how many Glocks are sold in the state of Connecticut, and while I can't speak to that, I have access to my federal book here, how I do all my paperwork. I did a quick search and it only pulled up the maximum amount that it'll pull up without me being at the store, but I've sold over 1,000 Glocks in the 5 years I've been in business. And I'm a small business, so that's a significant portion of the income. And it's a significant, Glocks are a major firearm brand that a lot of people use for self-defense.
And I can attest to that because just looking around at my desk, I was thinking, like, okay, out of all the handguns that I and Mrs. Guru own, what do we have the most of? And we have, out of all the brands, because I like SIG, and, there's a bunch, we have a lot of Glocks. We have a lot of variants of the Glock. We have 43, 43X, the 19, 19X, and a bunch of them. Because they're good guns. They're reliable. I call them the blue-collar gun. Now, one of my favorite guns is my P320. But I'm not going to carry that one just because the way the, gun seems to malfunction here and there. I'm being overly cautious. But we have more Glocks than anything. So, yeah, I'm part of that group. That group that buys Glocks. Me and Mrs. Guru are.
I have to agree with you. All three of my girls actually carry Glocks and got them from their father, who's a police officer. I appreciate you coming out, appreciate your advocacy and working.
Thank you. Representative Dubitsky.
All right, in case you guys don't know, Dubitsky asks some weird questions at times, but let's see what he's got.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for coming out. Now, you operate a gun store?
Yes.
Are you the owner?
Yes.
And you're also a firearms instructor?
Yes.
All right. Do you have any idea of the students that you teach? Mm-hmm. Why do they come to learn how to get instruction?
So I'm going to answer this one real quick because I'm the instructor that's usually teaching these classes over at Lock and Load. The overwhelming majority of people say self-defense. Today's class, I had 15 students. All 15 said self-defense, along with hobby, going to the range, doing this, but their primary was self-defense.
We teach anyone and everyone, very wide demographic, and a lot of them do it for personal safety. This is not my quote, this is something I've heard in the past, but you are your own first responder. You call 911 for the aftermath, right? That's why you have a fire extinguisher, hopefully in your kitchen, right? So it takes a long time for the police departments to get to your house, especially in rural parts of Connecticut. And even in Southington, we're a pretty large town, but it can certainly take some time. And waiting for somebody to go and defend me it could cost you. And most people get their permits to go for self-protection.
Okay, and those that are there to get firearms instruction that is not for self-protection, what's the purpose of their instruction?
Some is recreational, they just want to go to the range with their friends, and then some are hunting. Some people have had their permits lapse and they need to go through the training again. And some never knew, they're a little bit older. Gun laws were passed. They had no idea they needed a pistol permit to buy ammunition, and now they're sitting in the class and going to do that because they can't buy any more shotgun ammo for field and skeet shooting.
You'd be amazed at how many people come into class. I've had quite a few, and they're like, I'm just here because I didn't realize I needed a permit to buy ammo. Yeah, laws change. You guys really need to pay attention to the laws. That's why I do what I do.
Okay, and of your students, how long have you been training?
Been teaching for 9 years. I've had the retail store for about 5.5 years.
Okay, so during the time that you were a trainer, what percentage of your students do you think used Glocks or a firearm similar to a Glock?
A significant amount. The two most selling brands out of my store are SIGs and Glocks, and it's very equal on that. But a lot of them like it because of the simplistic aspect to it. I think Rep. Fishbein mentioned them earlier. They're not the prettiest looking gun out there, but they function very easily. They're easy to take apart. They're easy to clean, and it's one of the reasons they're the most common handgun out there.
I always tell people when they ask me, oh, what should I buy for my first gun? I'm like, well, it's an everyday carry. And they're like, oh, what's your brands, blah, blah, blah. I tell them, just, what, try a Glock. I know they're ugly, they're dumpy, but they're a workhorse, they're reliable, they're really safe. There's nothing glamorous about them, but they're reasonably priced. They'll get the job done. That's what I always recommend.
Now, you say you have a wide demographic.
Yep.
What
I think a lot of people, but I've gotten rid of the state.
Men and women. As a FFL holder, what is the process when you get a firearm that...
It's tagged for stolen license here, which was for work, then run it back on paperwork, go bound book, because it was a fist log that is touching
system work with this bound book if every barrel and...
Anyways, Dubinsky goes on to ask about how would we track slides and barrels and things like that, because you need to use the A&D log and a bunch of other stuff. And honestly, I mean, Josh, it does go on for a while with Josh, and I wanted to get to some other people, but we'll skip ahead. It's impossible. You cannot track slides and barrels and such. So they're garbage. I gotta jump all the way to the 6-hour 43 mark. There's Fazio. There's Becca. Go Becca.
Use Glock.
Okay.
It's a very large percentage.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Comment or question from other members of the committee? Comment or question? There are none. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Senator Fazio.
Thank you, Chairman Winfield, Ranking Member Kissel, Chairman Staffstrom, and Fishbein, wherever they may be. I'm here to...
So, I wanted to see what he had to say, because I didn't watch Fazio. I skipped right past him earlier.
Testify in opposition to House Bill 5043, which would likely violate the U.S. Constitution and fail to...
And in case you guys didn't know, he is running for governor on the Republican ticket. Him, Aaron Stewart, and I think there's a few others. They're all going up against Lamonto.
To make our state safer. Connecticut already has the second strictest gun laws in the nation, and they have only gotten stricter recently. Yet over the last 6 years, for which the CDC published data, Connecticut's homicide rate went up while the national rate has gone down slightly.
Yet Lamont tells us crime is down.
Connecticut has been safer than the rest of the nation for generations, but in recent years it has become less so. Our laws are strict for law-abiding citizens, but rarely enforced for repeat offenders who commit the majority of the lethal violence. Most Connecticut residents believe in balance. Most of them back smart public safety policies, like background checks, bans on automatic rifles, proactive policing policies, and the guarantees of the Second Amendment for law-abiding citizens as well. This proposal would not make us safer, but would almost certainly be found unconstitutional in federal court based on U.S. Supreme Court precedent. The Heller decision codified the plain text of the Second Amendment and found that there is an individual right to own common use firearms. The McDonald decision 2 years later incorporated the same right to state and local governments and overturned a de facto, not de jure, handgun ban in Chicago. This proposal would most likely be litigated and probably struck down by those federal courts, which would waste time and money even for those who support it. This proposal would ban one of, if not the most common use pistols at the state level, which would be contested under precedent. Bills like this have and will push jobs.
He's right. If this were to go through, you know there's going to be a litany of lawsuits. The problem is it takes years to get through the court systems. And I don't know if you know how this works, but CCL has to bring up a lawsuit, or SAF, or GOA, or one of the pro-gun groups. Well, that requires our money because we have to donate to them. Then, of course, the state is going to defend the law. And whose money do they use? That's right, our money. They use our tax dollars. So the lawsuits, not only are we paying to sue the state, but we're paying for the state to defend itself, which I think just sucks because we're footing the bill for all of it.
Small businesses and manufacturing out of our state for an industry that has historically provided thousands of good-paying, blue-collar jobs, and indeed armed our Union Army during the Civil War. It would make much more sense to go after switches and conversion kits in certain cases rather than this approach. Most urgently, we should support our law enforcement and proactively police the laws on the books that can effectively keep us safe. We should reinstate consent searches, give police ability to do their job that was eroded in previous legislative sessions, support school resource officers, strengthen our background check system, and do more to improve public safety. Let's put safety and common sense above ideological agendas. Please stop this bill, support our constitutional liberties, and support law enforcement to keep our state safe. Thank you.
So Fazio, pretty good. Pretty good. Wasn't like overly like, don't do this. But hey, you know what I mean? He's a politician. But he is running for governor, and at least he's defending our rights thus far. But we shall see. I'm not going to go through all of the questions that Howard or Dubitsky or any of these other people ask him. If there were any. Mainly because I do want to get to Diesel, and I want to read your chats too. So we're going to jump ahead to Diesel. He's at the 7-hour, 12-minute mark. And in case you don't know who Diesel is, he is a USCCA rep.
At Pedigree Design, now you're going to introduce more potential for error.
In the description below, there is a link for the USCCA.
Errors or safety issues with that. Where
set.
We'll watch Diesel real quick, and then we will jump over to your chats. There's Diesel.
Hi, I'm here. Sorry, I was trying to unmute.
All right, you know what we're going to do then? We're going to let Mr. Bissett testify because he's sitting here in front of us.
Okay,
and then we'll
sure.
let you go next.
No problem. Thank you.
So, long-time listener, first-time caller here. Little on the nervous side. So, chairpersons, member of the committee, thank you for your time. My name's Diesel Bissett. I'm speaking to you today in my personal capacity. These comments are my own opinions, not the opinions of any employer, organization, affiliation that I may have. I own Self-Defense Academy in Enfield, Connecticut. I've been a firearms instructor for over the last 17 years. I'm also an account executive with Delta Defense and the USCCA. I'm here in strong opposition to HB5043 and HB5436. I'm going to be blunt. We keep writing new gun laws that the criminals are not going to follow. And when criminals do get caught, the gun-related charge is often the first one that gets reduced or dropped. So what are we doing? Besides stacking more rules on the people who already obey the rules. If a law only works on the people who follow it, it's not public safety. It's a punishment for compliance, and criminals are going to criminal.
It's all about control.
These bills make normal life harder for law-abiding citizens, and the people I train, moms, dads, working people, are trying to stay safe and stay lawful. But these bills use vague language like readily and marketed. That's not a standard. That's an opinion. You should not need a lawyer to figure out what you're allowed to own. And here's something I'm not hearing enough in this conversation. When you make law confusing and risky, you don't just create a paperwork problem, you also create a training problem. People who are trying to comply start asking, is it even worth going to the range? Is it even worth taking another class? Is it worth transporting my firearm and parts everywhere if I might get jammed over a decision or a definition? Is this worth protecting our families? That's how you get less training, not more, not less instruction, less safe handling reps, less supervised learning. And that's the exact opposite of what we should want. When you punish compliance, you discourage training, and that's what makes everyone less safe. Now, what we're talking about is regulating barrels and slides, core components of a firearm's function. In the real world, people replace worn parts, bring firearms to gunsmiths, and order replacements for safety and reliability issues. That's responsible gun ownership. You're now turning routine maintenance into a legal risk. You're turning the trying to be responsible into a hope I don't commit a felony today. And if people are worried about a repair, a replacement, or a trip to a gunsmith, could be misunderstood, they will completely avoid it. They avoid the shop, they avoid the range, they avoid classes. The person who follows the rules ends up staying home and guessing instead of getting trained and getting answers. Fear doesn't create safety. Training creates safety. And I want to talk about the implementation, because this is where it always falls apart. When HB 6667 went into effect 2 years ago, the state wasn't ready. The state is only now getting around to processing the online submissions to approve or deny assault weapons.
90% of them haven't even been processed yet. There's over 41,000 still waiting to be done by SLFU. I have not gotten any of my assault weapons certificates back, nor has Josh over at Lock and Load. I wonder, have you?
If the state can't manage what's already passed, it has no business expanding the system.
Thank you, sir. Senator Kissel.
All right. We're not going to listen to these. We're going to jump over to your chats. But, hey, I think a lot of these points were brought up. Some really good points. And I think the ones who gave testimony in support of these laws, they talked about their feels and not the facts of everything, or well, I feel like it should be this. Well, I want to feel safe. I don't give a shit how you want to feel. My rights are my rights. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. Just get over yourself. So, all right, guys, I'm going to jump into the chats, see what we got going on. Doesn't look like there's much in there. If you guys do get a chance, though, and you feel like you want to watch the full 8 hours, 18 minutes, it is The Cure for Insomnia. When I made the video that I had posted for you guys on YouTube, I took the ones that kind of stood out to me. The bulk of it was Everytown, because turns out they're the asshats that wrote this. So I wanted to get all that information to you guys. And of course, we had a few supporters, and then we had a few that opposed it. I think out of all the opposition ones, Samson's was the most entertaining. The go between him and Fishbein made me laugh, and it made the audience laugh. If you guys haven't seen it, because you didn't make it that far into the video, you need to go find it. And it pissed off Winfield to where he threatened to change the rules on when members of the House or the Senate can testify when it comes to public hearings. And Fishbein, he basically goes, well, we're here And it's right now, and the rules are this, and we're going to hear them out. And they went on. So Sampson's testimony was very entertaining. If you want a good chuckle, you want a good laugh, watch that one. All right, so let's see what's going on here. Robert Cochran retracted his, and but we have the Patriot Rock 2 is first in the chat. And JC8750 second. I got a smiley face. Let's see, the Patriot Rocks where from. And there's a bunch that are retracted. That sucks, guys. Don't retract them. Went with the mag ban and in mass. That makes no sense. I don't know what you mean by that. Oh, when will the mag ban end in mass? Okay, sorry. Words are small, glasses. The mag ban will only end in Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut, Illinois, California when SCOTUS gets off their ass and takes a case. Now, hear me out, guys. All the appellate courts, all these different courts throughout the country, when they have heard mag ban cases in the past, they've agreed. But DC shot it down saying it's unconstitutional. So now we have one court saying that it's constitutional and another court saying it's unconstitutional. And that's what the Supreme Court is there for, to finally say which court's right. So they're doing in an emergency briefing, telling the Supreme Court, listen, DC court just said it's unconstitutional. This court over here says it's constitutional. There's a rift. You need to answer it. Pick this case up. So hopefully SCOTUS will take one and have it in with an AR case and finally put the kibosh on all this, and then we'd be able to buy standard capacity magazines and all that good stuff. So it's a waiting game. We'll find out. The SCOTUS keeps pushing them further down the road. They keep kicking that bucket. Viking Queen says, good evening. Good evening, Viking Queen. I hope you are having fun cuddling with Clay. Let's see. Adiel, what's happening? Seeing what else we got here. Cynical Drew asks, when do they vote on the bills? Well, I saw a thing on CCDL today. They are trying to push these through rather quickly. If they don't do the emergency passage of certain bills, then we're probably looking at about a month or two. The Glock one, that takes effect July 1st, 2026. And the gun parts one, redefining what a firearm is, barrel, slide, etc., cylinder, that would take effect October 1st of this year. So there's that. So if it passes, you will have a very, very short window to go buy Glocks. Whatever Glocks are out there, you might want to just gobble them up, because once they're gone, they're gone. It doesn't matter. It's any gun that uses a cruciform trigger bar. Glock, Shadow Systems, the Ruger RXM. I mean, I'm not big into panic buying, but this, be real, guys, this is Connecticut. What do you think the chances are of this bill actually going all the way through? California's already done it. It takes effect July 1st. FFLs there can't keep Glocks on the shelf. So, you do you, buy accordingly. Jay Foreman, I'll watch your video tomorrow. Thank you so much for the hard work keeping us updated. Listen, I'm trying. I'm trying, Jay. I am trying. Louis Torres says, it's funny that this anti-gunner comes from other states and that are blue and put a bill in Connecticut. Yeah, if you watch the video, every town doesn't actually operate here. They're out in New York. But yeah, they said the quiet part out loud. They're like, yeah, we wrote that. They also wrote parts of 7042 and parts of HB Satan 7. Louis Torres says, I own 15 Glocks. Half of them I use for competition, to hunting and self-defense. Glocks are easy to operate and maintain. Yes, and there are a billion parts out there for them. I love me some Glocks. Louis Torres also says, Glock parts are important, especially in competition, because parts wear out as needed. Replacement And you can customize your own style of Glock, yes. I always tell people they should buy extra barrels for everyday carries. And, well, it looks like if this were to pass, they wouldn't be able to do that. Unless you went through the FFL. But then we have no idea how the state tracks this stuff. They don't even know. Jesus Manuel Cruz, 1992. So what happens to the million of other Glocks and gun parts that don't have serial numbers on the backlog? Would be crazy. Listen, you can go on right now to 1,000 different websites out there and buy aftermarket parts for your Glock. Barrels, slides, etc. And you know what they don't have? Serial numbers. We have no idea how you would do that. Would the FFL have to receive these items and then serialize them themselves? But then how is it tracked? Since the ATF doesn't care about these items because they're not controlled. The deal is the state doesn't care. They're just like, here's our idea. Here's what we're going to make law. You guys figure it out. SLFU, figure it out. They don't give guidance. They don't tell you how to do these things. They leave it up to SLFU. Now, I do my fair share of crapping on SLFU. And it's not the people that are there. It's just the entity itself. Their job's hard. These laws get passed. And nobody knows what to do about them. And when we call and ask them for guidance, they don't give guidance. So you basically have to hope and pray to God you don't break the law, because you might not know, the state doesn't know, and when you finally do break the law, they've got to figure out you broke the law. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Just go to court, let them figure it out. Let's see what we got. What else is going on here? Leighton Rodriguez says, it was so frustrating watching the points that were being made by the people in support of the bill were weak. Yep, it was all about their feels. I feel this way. I want to feel safe. See, John's 4862 says, hi everyone, Gun Guru. Still watching the hearing. I'm still of the opinion that it will undoubtedly pass at the last minute of the current legislative session. Keep us informed, sir. Yes, I shall keep you informed. Let's see. No super chats today. Oh, that stinks. All right. Let's see. Jesus Manuel Cruz says, watch them try to hide it in a bill. No, they're just going to pass it just straight in your face because they don't care. They don't, because even if every single Republican votes against it, which it wouldn't, there's always a Republican that votes for it, and there's always a Democrat that votes against it because she's pro 2A. Well, the Republican is anti-gun. There's a supermajority of Democrats. Connecticut is a one-party rule, and they've gerrymandered our entire state to where it's nearly impossible for a Republican to win a local seat, let alone anything at the federal level. All of our congressmen, all of our senators will always be Democrat based on the way the state of Connecticut is gerrymandered. Over 40% of our state votes Republican or conservative toward that way. You'll never see a Republican elected here ever again. And that's what Virginia just did. Once the Democrats took control, they gerrymandered the entire state. And if you look at the way their new map is, there's like these little slivers going up into like Alexandria to ensure no Republican will ever win another seat in that state. Virginia's a lost cause. It's done. Write it off, guys. I lived there for many, many years. Both my kids were born in Virginia. I got married in Virginia. That's where I was stationed. And that state, gone. Lost cause. Write it off. M. Gabriel, hey there. Thanks for posting. Committee hearing. Yep, not a problem. See, Warren Harrison says Massachusetts legislators probably salivating watching Connecticut to see how it goes. Oh, I guarantee they are. I guarantee. So California does something stupid, and then Connecticut, which is East California, they follow suit, and it goes kind of back and forth. And then as soon as we do dumb shit, then Massachusetts does it, and then Rhode Island does it. New York's already in the process of doing it. They're just a little slower. Connecticut really just has it streamlined. Now, when you go to Maine, New Hampshire, or Vermont, no gun laws. Even though those states are blue, don't touch their guns. What's going to happen is our gun rights are going to be eroded. They're going to go away, which will drive people like you and me out of this state. We'll end up going somewhere where we're free. The red states will get redder. The blue states will get bluer. Even if you are a Democrat, but you like guns, you're going to leave. You're going to go somewhere where you can have your guns. So the country is going to get uber polarized. And you know what happens when a country gets uber polarized like that? That's right. Civil war. Ronan 7964. If I already have an extra barrel stored away after this comes, how the hell would I argue that I have the thing for years when it has no matching serial number? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Couldn't tell you. They don't think that far ahead. They get this bill from every town or from the Bloomberg Group or whoever, and they're like, hey, that sounds really good. It's anti-gun. And they shove it through. Every town admitted to writing this stupid cruciform trigger bar law and just sent it over to Lamont, and Lamont goes, here, pass this. That's it. Maybe tweak the language a little bit, but they just shove it on through. So your guess is as good as mine. Pete GB says, need to use your own words against them, call it racist, and then why you should want ICE to be the only one with these guns. Listen, Connecticut understands they want a monopoly of violence because they create these laws and they immediately carve out cops. The cops get them, you don't. It's just the way it is. Louis Torres says, since they can buy firearms other states and parts, so ban Glocks I purchased in Florida, they would know by law that I can carry my Florida gun here and would switch to 10-round mags. Yeah, so Connecticut will consider your barrel, your slide, all that stuff as a firearm. That's great. ATF doesn't. I can order a barrel and just have it shipped to Tennessee. You got an address down there. Unserialized. I mean, it's a freaking tube of metal. It's not going to stop. Now, they're trying to sell like, oh, it's going to stop ghost guns. No, it's not. No, it's not. It is not. This is just about control. All right, guys, it is 2000 on a Saturday night. Why the hell are you watching me? Go forth. Go hang out with your family. Go have a good time. Go have some libations and rest and enjoy your weekend. I am going to go hang out with the fam and do a little bit of relaxing myself. You guys, listen, the world is a crazy and wild place out there. So keep your head on a swivel. Keep your powder dry. And I will see all of you guys in the next video. You guys have a great night.